So I was born with hearing, but at 2.5, I think I fell because I do have a scar on my head. I'm not sure what happened, but I became deaf. I lost my hearing at that point.
All through her childhood, she was fairly normal, other than the fact that she was hard of hearing in one ear and deaf in her other. So I was fortunate to learn sign language and learn from her, but there wasn't any signs of behavioral issues or any type of disabilities at all.
Before, I was very independent. I was smaller in shape. I mean, everything was different back then. So I don't know what happened. I think at that time, I think it was like when I was 11 or 12, my behavior issues just kind of deteriorated, and I remember that.
She continued at the Oregon School for the Deaf, and Christy was, I guess, a victim of different bullying there. I think because of her changes, kids didn't really know how to handle it, and they teased her a lot because of it. And that's where we started seeing more of those kind of violent outbreaks with her, with our family. The first time that I remember where it got really bad was when we were at our grandpa's house. She probably would have been about 11 or 12 then. And there was some sort of kind of kid fight, I think, that happened between my younger sister and her. And I don't know the instances of how it escalated, but she ended up locking herself in my grandpa's bathroom to the point where we were trying to leave and fly home, and we were about to miss our flight because she wouldn't get out.
I was there, and while I was there, they called the police because they said that I was a danger to myself, that I was cutting on myself. And there was blood. My family found me, and they were really, really worried about me. And the police arrived with their sirens and their lights. They all arrived. The ambulance arrived. It was a bad life for me at that time. I don't know. And so I was locked up. I was put in the hospital in 2003, and I was there for a year.
I want to say she started at the Salem hospital, and then from like 13 to pretty much like 20, well, she can tell you, but I think it was like 23 or 22, she was in and out of group homes and different mental institutions.
The staff would yell at me, and they would tell me I was grounded and get mad at me and threaten me, and I had to do more work. It was a really horrible place. All day I worked. And if I didn't work, I got punished. And if I got punished, they would pile more work on me. And so I worked like janitorial cleaning and stuff. It was really awful. They were very rude.
When she turned 18, she went to another group home.
And I didn't really get along with them very well at that foster home. There was sex abuse that happened and molestation.
She has told me that there were times of abuse, which makes my blood boil. I wasn't there to witness it. I probably would have been like 13 at the time. But I think that I remember she went from that group home back to the hospital, I think because of the things that she probably had seen there.
Before, I had a very violent and a very violent behavior and a violent past, but I was in a group home and a state hospital, and neither one of those were good fits for me.
APD stands for Aging and People with Disabilities, and we provide services to people age 65 and older, and people under 65 as well with physical disabilities. Typically, folks who are in need of the same type of services as Kristina haven't been able to thrive in those standard settings like APD adult foster homes or residential care facilities, or even at in-home with in-home supports. They've needed just a little extra and more individualized approach to be successful.
I met Kristina because we received a referral packet from Marion County saying that they had someone who was supported through a different funding stream than IDD, but it came to our IDD department. And they were wondering if we would take on someone with a different disability than intellectual or developmental, but they could pay for a bed in our IDD program.
So the specialized living program has definitely some prerequisites for sure before a provider can be contracted, and there some general kind of training that needs to happen, as well as, and which is most important, is investing the time to get to know the consumer for whom it is that we're engaging in this contractual relationship.
She had lots of questions, Kristina did, for us. So it was like we were the ones being interviewed and she was deciding on us. She had a lot of questions about the program, what it would look like, would she have staff, how would she communicate, would she be able to go outside, can her family visit, can she still go visit her Nana? So it was nice that she had questions for us to ask, like, how can you meet my needs? And then we were able to ask her questions about what her ideal living environment would be, what does she need to be successful. If you've read her history, that she lives with obsessive compulsive disorder, an environment that was conducive of her triggers, that she calls them. She gets stuck. And so those were light switches, faucets. She liked to turn on water. So we made sure we modified an environment where there was locks. All of the light switches are locked, and so staff carried the keys. Touchless faucets and toilets. So she has a tankless toilet, so it just automatically flushes, and it's not something she can continue to push down because she has a history of getting stuck and then overflowing toilets, right? Same with sinks, because you can turn it off and on, off and on, off and on. So now it's a sensor sink in the kitchen and in the bathroom. Kristina agreed to all of these modifications. She said, I don't want to get stuck, so can you do that for me? So those were the environmental things that we set up with her. And then having an open floor plan and her living by herself. She had lived with housemates in the past that she felt like bullied her and or physically assaulted her, and so she didn't want to live in an environment where that was going to happen again.
Well, I do remember, like 4 years ago, I couldn't cook on my own. I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't shower or bathe myself. I couldn't prepare food. I wasn't independent at all. Staff had helped me with everything, even taking my own medication.
Again, being institutionalized, she's like, how do you work a stove? Like a microwave? I mean, all of her meals were provided. It was scheduled meal times. And again, we wanted to provide some consistency, so I worked on her with a menu. But still, it was like, do you want to cook your own food? And just really helping train her and providing reassurance, like, it's okay, we'll fix it up, no problem, and just giving her more opportunity.
But now I'm independent. I take my own medication. I cook on my own. Sometimes I don't cook everything because I'm still learning, but a lot of cooking I know now.
She does her own medications and follows her little schedule, signs all of her charts, that consistency. She asks staff to wake her up at certain times, or she sets a timer or an alarm to wake herself up, so that routine, just knowing the times of the meds. Her staffing has reduced to only 12 hours a day instead of 16 hours a day, so no more companion, and she only has staff from 9 in the morning till 9 at night.
Her personality's changed just from the living situation. And then aside from just that in itself, her sense of independence is just so much greater. Her communication, I've found, she communicates a lot more on like an independent basis, where before she would have to rely on a lot of other people to either reach out or to set up things, and now she's just taking initiative and doing things on her own.
Within that first year and a half as well, she enrolled in Chemeketa, because from the get-go she had talked about wanting to go to college and didn't think it would ever happen because she didn't graduate completely from high school. And we're like, it can still happen. You can take the placement test at Chemeketa and go from there.
I take ESOL, English as a Second Language, because my first language is American Sign Language. My second language is English. So I'm learning English as a second language, and I'm at level B2 right now. And then I'm thinking about getting a BA. I'd like to go into the law enforcement, but you have to be in good shape for that. You can't be a large person for that, so I'm working on getting in shape.
When she was a kid, and when she'd have outbreaks, the police would come and they'd kind of help mitigate the situation. And I think she saw that as, they were helping, and she wanted to be able to do that as like a profession. So that's something she's talked about for a really long time. I think if that's something that she wants to do, like how far she's progressed so far, like the sky's the limit for her. So yeah, I think that she can definitely do it if she wants to.
Kristina's staff and I kind of have this running joke that eventually Kristina may be working us all out of a job, which is a good thing, because she has just grown so much, and is just needing less and less of us around to support her to live the life that she wants to in a safe and meaningful way.
To see her guardian and the APD representative that has been part of her team since the beginning, they're like, wow. I mean, just full circle has she's just driving in the driver's seat of her own services.
I mean, I like it here. I mean, I have good staff support. I have more independence, for sure, here.
The reason I work hard is because I have that choice, and there's a lot of people in this world that don't, and my sister is one of those. But she is choosing every day to get better, and it's just so inspiring to have her as a light in my life. And I'm like getting emotional to talk about it, but she's a really special person, so.
I have a goal 6 years from now. In 2025, the year 2025, I'd like to actually graduate from Shangri-La and be more independent and be completely independent. I'm thinking maybe I might have a roommate, maybe have a house with a friend. This isn't something that's happening right now, mind you, but it's 6 years from now. Because it takes time, to become independent. And when I think of the future, like 3 years, I might be driving myself in 3 years. If I keep improving little by little all the time, I think that might happen.